Today is about time management, isn't it?
Yes, it is about time management. You're on the right training, man. Yeah, it should be a good one. It should be a good one, this one. So who have we got joining us today? So let me have a look. We've got Fatima, we've got Amna, we've got Carol. Hi, Carol, Patricia. So we've just, I've enabled the meeting room so people can just drop in as they come. So over to you, Laura. Do you want to start the introductions? I'm just going to share the screen.
Yep. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you this afternoon. I see, you know, how's it working? Is it, we'll see what people think of having an afternoon session as opposed to doing the mornings. I think hopefully it'll be easier for everybody, bearing in mind Sunday mornings can be quite busy. So just a very quick introduction. I think you all know us, but just to recap, I'm Laura Everest. I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach specializing in professional development and resilience. Obviously women's empowerment too is something that I've been training about and I'm passionate about. So it's lovely to have all of us working women coming together here today. I'm going to pass you, Zen, would you like to introduce yourself before I open it up to the group?
Yes, so my name is Zen Kahn and I'm the managing partner of Zen Professional Development. I support women and adults to help them professionally develop and train and get qualifications and help them to upskill. And over to you, Laura.
So if we start, I'll do it in the order as I can see you all on the screen. I hope that's okay. Just really quickly, if I could perhaps start with Mandy and then go to Carol. Just a quick introduction, ladies. Mandy first. My glasses on so I can see you all.
Good afternoon, everybody. Now Laura can see me. She's got her glasses on. Nice to see you. I hope you've all had a good weekend. So I'm Mandy from Pixel Roses Photography and Makeup. And we specialize in corporate branding shoots, but we also like to add a little bit of an edge to the shoots just to make it a little bit different. So that's it from me, from Pixel Roses.
Lovely. Carol. And then Neela.
I'm Carol. I have just started up my own business called Conscious Finance Coaching. I focus mainly on personal finance coaching for women, but also small business finance coaching. So anyone who's setting up a new business, help them get started, help them with what they need to think about and set up with their finances correct from the get-go. That's me.
Fabulous, Carol. Neelam and then Fatima.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Neelam. I'm a head of primary at a school in Sharjah. It's the first day back for us today, and it's been quite tiring. We're just up for daily challenges, and I'm looking forward to this session, inshallah, to help me support with my time management as well.
Brilliant. Fatima and then Amna. Is Fatima there? Perhaps I'll go straight to Amna, if that's okay. And then Patricia.
Hi, I'm Amna. I run an app for equestrians that connects equestrian professionals with potential clients and allows them to search and find exactly what they need. So it's basically a directory for equestrians.
Wonderful. Nice to see you. Patricia? I can't hear you, Patricia. I think you're...
Everyone, hope as well. I am an early childhood educational consultant. I live and work in Dubai, and it's very nice to be here today.
Wonderful. Have we missed anyone? Are there still people coming in? Is Fatima there?
Yeah, we've got Fatima. People are dropping in, but Fatima's the only one that hasn't been introduced yet.
Fatima, would you like to share? Oh, okay. Struggling to get through.
Okay, no problem.
Not worry at all. Well, ladies, it's lovely to see you this afternoon. I think time management is something that is dear to all of us. And so in a minute, Zen is going to be sharing some things with us. obviously we're going to be looking at our priorities. We have enough of them. So how do we make sure we're prioritizing on the right things and making sure we're actually being productive? It's so easy to be busy, but it's about being effective as well. Reducing stress and obviously balancing work and our priorities. So let me pass you over to Zen, who's going to be sharing. Can I just ask you ladies that if you're listening, would you be kind enough to keep yourselves on mute so that we don't get any background interference? That would be very much appreciated. And obviously we'll be taking questions and things as we go, or at the end, definitely. So please let us know as you go through, or make a note of things that you might like to pick up on. Thank you. Zen, pass over to you.
Thank you, Laura. So thank you today. Thank you everyone for coming today to attending the webinar. It's amazing doing it at this time at the end of the day. It's the first time that we've done this towards the end of the afternoon. We usually have it first thing in the morning, and it actually feels really nice. I feel like I've been working all day and I'm now meeting up with friends, which is lovely. So today's session is on time management, and today's outcomes are listed within the slide. We will be talking about some other things as well, but these are the main outcomes that we want to achieve today. So webinar housekeeping, Laura's been through those. We're streaming live today, so I think the confidentiality one goes out the window, but we do openly discuss things. So if you want to share something and you want it to be anonymous, please just message myself or Laura privately and we can answer on your behalf. Okay, so just figures for you, some figures here for you. So we actually spend 21,900 days are actually spent awake in a 90-year life. Okay, 57,600 seconds per day are spent awake, and 960 minutes per day are spent awake. The rest of the time we actually spend sleeping. So we know that the time that we spend awake is very limited, therefore we need to use it effectively and efficiently. So I just want to come together and I just want us for a minute just to close our eyes and mentally count 1 minute. Once you feel that 1 minute is up, please just raise your hand. So I will come together, I'll stop sharing, and I'm just going to now start timing. A minute, just bear with me a minute while I get my, bear with me a minute, no pun intended. And let me get my timer out. I'm going to set it to 1 minute exactly. Okay, so I just want you to close your eyes when I say 3, 2, 1. And when you've finished your minute, just put your hand up, please. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Please close your eyes. When you feel it's a minute, just put your hand up and raise your hand. Okay, we've got Mandy, yeah. Got Michelle. Okay, so let me just cancel that. Okay, so we had, Mandy had around 7 seconds to go. You were actually really, really good, which was amazing. Carol, where did you feel you were in that minute? I can't hear you, sorry.
I think I was about 4 seconds after the alarm went off, so longer.
Laura, you were quite exact actually, Laura. Where do you feel you were?
Well, actually, I spend so much time trying to figure if I'm getting my timing right when I'm timing everybody else. I think maybe I'm getting a little bit practiced at it. I'm very, very relieved to hear that I was relatively close. But I have practiced this before to try. So thank you.
Yes, so that was great. So you were all pretty close. And the reason that I did this exercise is because our perceptions of time vary, and we're often wrong. Often we don't feel that the time is similar to what others may feel as well. The same person can underestimate and overestimate time as well. And it also, the way a person feels about time sometimes conflicts with their logical thinking. Logic is more effective than instinct when dealing with time. So we need to think about what we're doing and how long we actually spend doing it. Okay, so I'm just going to click the next slide. Okay, so often what we find is, as a woman, we're feeling overwhelmed, we're feeling overworked. We have family, we have work, we have children, health, and much more. And these things are often playing on our mind, alongside the guilt that we're not doing enough and the fear that if we ask for help, we will be seen as incompetent or weak. And that guilt and that fear of saying no, it actually then manifests into something bigger. And that something bigger is stress, anxiety, tiredness, and depression. So we only have 24 hours in each day. And the key is to properly manage your time and believe that you can do it. Often people are asking me, well, how do you manage everything then? You do so much. You've got 2 businesses, you've got 4 children, you've got, a husband, family. How do you manage everything? And the truth is, I don't actually know how I manage everything. The only thing that I do know is that I kind of arrange everything in terms of the priority. And I know that when it's time for me to switch off from work and become mum, become wife, become friend, become daughter. And it's easy for me to wear these different hats or headscarves, should I say, to actually fit into that role. I do get overwhelmed. It's not easy. I often get overwhelmed. But over the last few years, what I have learned is that I need to manage and I need to prioritize tasks and I need to delegate, because what happens is when I wasn't delegating, I then overloaded myself with tasks. I often felt that I wasn't doing enough. And it could be simple things like, going home at the end of the day. I remember walking into my house and the delivery guy called me and he said, oh, I'm around the corner. And I said, right, I'm just parking up. I'll go inside. I won't be a minute. I literally walked into my house and the guy must have knocked on the door. I took, I still had my suit on, jacket off, in the kitchen, started cooking. Totally forgot that the guy was waiting outside. 25 minutes later, he started pressing the bell. And he said, Madam, you said you were going inside. You knew I was here. And I said, I just switched. The work, hat came off, on came mum hat, and I just went into that kitchen and I forgot you were there. It was simple as that. So this is how many different types of roles that we have to play as women. And we need to know how we manage it. And we need to know what we can do and what we can't do, what will overburden us, what will tip us over that edge, because it's a scale. It's a scale that might just tip over, and you might fall into that trap of being overwhelmed and thinking, I can't do it. And actually, you can do it. It's just about managing your time effectively, and those tasks that you feel that that you can delegate to somebody else, delegate and hand them over. Okay. So there was a reason why I picked this picture. Anybody else? Can anyone else relate to this? Yeah. So as women, we just want to do our work. We don't want to be disturbed. We just have to send this email, or we just have to reply to this comment on social media, or we just have to send this final contract off, and we want 5 minutes to finish it, but we can't because there's so much going on in the background. And unfortunately, as nurturers, we feel that we are, you know, we have to deal with everything and everyone. So when your children, you know, are in the background and they're racing around and your mind is with them, you're unable to focus and you're unable to concentrate. This is why, you know, I don't recommend that you know, work and you mix the two, you mix the work and the home life up. Have some dedicated time that is just set aside for work, for answering emails, for, you know, posting your social media posts, doing what you have to do. Because we all reach a time when our mental toughness is tested and we feel that we are not in control. It's time to reclaim our life. And the important thing to think about, and the important thing in life, is you don't have to do it all. Okay, one of the common misunderstandings is that we have to do it all, and in order to have it all, we have to be this all singing, all dancing, you know, amazing woman, this superwoman. And the image of, you know, Wonder Woman comes to mind, you know, when I'm talking about this. But you don't have to be that. If you search online, or if you look on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, and I often talk about this, what you'll see are busy business women. Okay, these busy business women are working moms, or they're images that you'll find online. And it's a multi-armed woman juggling an infant. You know, she's got a frying pan in one hand, she's got a phone, she's got a computer, she's got cleaning products around her, and she's wearing heels at the same time, and she's smiling. Like she's actually on some mind-altering drugs or substances. And that's not our reality. Don't buy into that. There's no way we can do all this at the same time. We can multitask. Yes, we're women, we're wonderful at multitasking. However, can we be this all singing, all dancing woman all in one? No, we can't. And stop putting that pressure on yourself, and stop putting that pressure on your family, and your work colleagues, because you can only multitask. You can only do as much as what you can handle. Don't push yourself, and don't tip yourself over the edge. So I love this control. This quote. I'm a big fan of Angelina Jolie, and I really like how she's put this. Take control. Okay, you are in charge, and only you can take control. Only you can take control of what you are doing, what's going on around you. I was recently listening to a podcast, and they said, you know, it was a 5-minute controlling the fight in the next 5 seconds, the next 5 days, the next 5 weeks. Don't think beyond that, because that is beyond your control. And I'm sure Laura will add to this later on. But you know, don't think of anything that's out of your control. Only think about that is within your control. Be it a conversation that you're having, you know, be it work that you've got on, be it activities that you're doing. I often say to moms, look, you know, we feel guilty because we can't take our children to every single play date, or we can't take them to every single after school activity, or we can't, you know, attend every single event that's going on after work because we have other commitments. Don't feel guilty about it. Why should you feel guilty? You have taken on as much as what you can handle. Don't overwhelm yourself. Okay, so I'm going to go into some top tips on time management. Every goal starts with a plan, but first of all, you need to know where your time is going. What you need to do is create an audit of your time. Just how we have an audit for our bills, we have an audit, you know, for our policies and procedures at work, we have an audit for almost everything. Create an audit of your time so you can have a look, you know, where it is that your time is being spent. It might, you might think that your emails are taking 30 minutes to check. However, you've actually taken an hour, and it's taking an hour of your day. You might think that going home and cooking your, you know, the family dinner only takes 25 minutes or 20 minutes. You're actually in that kitchen, and 3 hours later, you're still not done. And nobody appreciates it anyway at the end of the day. So, you know, create an audit of your time and keep a track of time. So the easiest way to keep track of your time is track everything that you do for a week. You can then have a look at it and find out what it is that's actually stealing your time. And within this information, you can then make the appropriate adjustments to your schedule, be it your home life, be it your work life. Okay, I'm going to go to a quick poll now. Let me just stop my screen share. So let me just go to my polls. Okay, so I'm going to launch a poll, and it's about time management. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to finish this poll, so please do vote. Let's have a look what we've got. Ooh, we've got, I'll let the results come in. So we've got people, 75% of you have voted. Okay, so 100% have voted now, which is great. So we've got, let me just, okay, so 63% of you feel that you are able to manage your time effectively, which is great. One person, 13% of you feel that no, they can't, and 25% are unsure. So I'm going to share the results with you all. Have you all seen that?
Yep.
So that gives me confidence that we're all doing something right. And those of you that have said no or are unsure, we will learn about managing your time effectively today. Okay, so let me just share the results there, and I will come out of this poll now. Okay, let me go back to sharing my screen. Okay, so I've actually found, and I've done this recently, that setting a time limit to each task actually prevents me from getting distracted. I'm one of those people. I'm hopping from task to task to task. I've got so much work to do. So how do I track my time and make sure that I'm using my time efficiently? Well, what I'm doing is I'm actually setting a timer. So on my phone, I set a timer, and I know that this task, I'm only going to give it an hour, I'm going to give it 40 minutes, 20 minutes, and I make sure that I get that task done in, and it stops me from getting distracted or procrastinating over what I'm doing, okay? So if I want to write an article, I will set myself 2 hours. So if I start at 9, I know that I will finish at 11. This also helps me to feel motivated because I feel at the end of the day, I've actually completed something. The worst days, or the worst days that I've had are when I actually feel that I'm all over the place and I've done nothing at the end of the day. I've gone home from work or from the office, or I'm at home and I feel like I've achieved nothing. So the best way for me to do it is if I first of all have a plan of action on what I'm going to do on that day, and then I set a time limit for each task. Okay, so William Lipovsky suggests all goals and projects are made up of smaller parts that need to be accomplished in order to achieve the goal or to complete the project. Create a to-do list for each goal and project, listing all the measurable steps that need to be done for you to accomplish that goal. Okay, we know there will be interruptions that may prevent you from actually completing the task, so don't be hard on yourself. But William recommends that you make a point of always returning and completing these tasks once you are able to. So even if it's in the evening and you've got in your mind that I started these tasks in the daytime and they need to be finished by so and so time, finish it off in the evening. Don't let it run over onto the next day. Okay, so this might mean that you require a limit to the task that you need to complete or that you're working on at any given time, but you need to manage that effectively. Okay, at the same time, there might be interruptions, okay, that stop you from doing that task, and you might have to wake up half an hour earlier in the morning to finish them off. But make sure if you set yourself a target to finish that by the end of the day, then before the start of the next day, that you try to get that done. Okay, one of the things that I do is plan ahead. I found myself often wandering through trivial tasks. I'm doing all these little tasks, administration tasks. I might spend all day checking my emails, and work that's actually priority is left and it's incomplete. Okay, so you can either plan the night before, before you leave work for the day, or the last 15 minutes of the day, at the office, or, before you go to bed, actually prioritizing and noting down the most important task for the next day, or first thing in the morning. For me, first thing in the morning works. Write it on my notebook next to me and just tick it off as I go along. I started creating a daily task sheet. I started using my calendar. I had all these little things and I found myself that I wasn't using them. What works best for me is to have a little notebook and just scribble away and tick it off as I go along. You might have a different way that works for you, but this is the way that works for me. Okay, and when you're writing this list first thing in the morning, write down the 3 or 4 most urgent tasks that come to mind. And these are the most important matters that need to be, urgently addressed today. And work on those when you're most productive. So for me, the most productive time is first thing in the morning. Later on in the afternoon, I become really, really, tired and my mind starts wandering. So I find the most important things are best done first thing in the morning. Learn how to delegate and outsource. Delegation it can be tricky, and often it's hard to let go of things that you've built up or that you've always done, and it's hard to let go and give those tasks to somebody else, but they don't, and you might feel that you don't have time to train someone else to complete certain tasks. So for me, simple things like my social media posts, I don't have time to sit there on Canva creating all my social media posts. It's easy for me to give that to somebody who's an expert and let them create those. Things like at home, my nanny, I've taught her, I was always against having nannies cook. But I found that when I'm rushing home in the evening and I'm straight into that kitchen, I'm losing quality time with my children. So now I have trained my nanny. She's able to cook. Yes, it might not be perfect, but what it means is I now have some quality time to spend with my children, rather than just being stressed about everything that I've got to do in the evening. Okay. So it's easy for you to either hand over the responsibilities to somebody who was more qualified, or train somebody up that you have access to, who can help you. And, it's simple things like in the evening, when your child wants a bedtime story, often you feel so torn because you've got so much to do, and you might not be able to do that every night. It's fine if your husband does it a couple of nights a week. So have a schedule between yourselves and say, look, this night I'm going to do it, tomorrow, can you do this? Because don't put all that pressure just on yourself. Okay. Change your schedule. Try waking up, 60 minutes, half an hour earlier. For me, it gives me a good start to the day. I can get ready in peace, have breakfast, check my emails without being disturbed. But it's all about having that mindset where you're able to plan ahead and actually schedule things throughout the day, where you're not then feeling overwhelmed, in the daytime or in the evening. Stop trying to be perfect. When you're a perfectionist, nothing will ever be good enough. This means that you keep going back to the same tasks over and over again. And how productive do you think your day will be as a result? So stop being perfect. It doesn't exist. Do what you can do, finish the task, and then move on to the next task. Because if you don't move on, you'll be sitting on that task day after day, hour after hour. Okay? Just say no. If you are unable to, take any more tasks on, take any more work on, just say no. If you have to be at this, it might be an after work meal, it might be an after school club that you have to be at with your children, it might be a meeting that you have to urgently attend, say no. Often I've found, especially during Corona, I'm committing myself to too many things, too many webinars, too many networking events. And when you're stepping away, when you're stepping forward to do one thing, something else is giving. So I often find when I'm at these meetings, or I'm having, all these Zoom networking events, that the important things like running my business get left behind. And then I'm overwhelmed and I'm feeling challenged and I'm feeling stressed because I've not finished my tasks and I'm working till 2 a.m. in the morning trying to get everything in. But the easiest thing would have been, I could have said no. When you're having meetings, make sure that you have a clear agenda for that meeting. Often I've gone into meetings and I think, why am I even here? What is the point of me having this meeting? So have a clear agenda for that meeting, have a clear result, that you want to achieve at the end of that meeting, and make sure that the follow-up process after that meeting is identified at the end of that meeting before you leave. Because if you don't, you'll come out of that meeting wondering, okay, well, why did I go to that meeting and what was the outcome for me? Okay, so do you have any questions on that? Well, I have a quick drink of water. Laura, would you like to add anything before I go to the next?
Yes, I would actually. A couple of things. I think one of the things obviously as a strengths coach, I automatically look at where you're naturally talented and what you're really good at and what you're not. One of my top strengths is a ranger, and that means that I'm really good at organizing, and I get energized by putting everything together and getting stuff done. I also have achiever, which means that as soon as I've completed my to-do list, I'm ready to do the next load. That's me. But some people, some of my clients that I work with, for example, get caught very much in the here and now, and they try to spread themselves too much, and it's not a natural talent area for them. So the most important thing is do your own self-audit, get to know what you are good at, where you feel challenged. As Zen says, we all have areas that we're really good and things we're not, and we shouldn't try to do it all if it doesn't come comfortably to us. So look at what you're really comfortable doing, look at what you're naturally good at. And then, obviously the things that you find hard, they're the ones, or things you don't have time for, then obviously think about, as Zen said, maybe how you could delegate or perhaps delete them somehow from your life, because you're quite right. You have to learn to say no to some things. You can't do everything. So I think that's really, really important. Another thing is I wanted to just mention about, don't forget this whole thing about what's in our control. We all know the Stephen Covey 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I use that all the time because I think that we can get so caught up in trying so hard to kind of do it all, whether we mean to or not, that even if things are outside of our control, we sometimes think, well, maybe I can do something and fiddle or get involved in it. Don't. Just look at what your key priorities are and just stick to the things that you know that you're going to be able to achieve. And don't forget to ask for help when you need it, because there are lots of people out there, that can help you do the things that you're not good at.
Yep.
Zen.
Wonderful. Thank you, Laura. Okay, so going back to what Laura said and the just saying no part, okay? I know that you don't want to upset anybody, okay? But you can only handle so much. If you already have a full plate, then say no to that dinner invitation or taking your kids up to that play date. Don't overburden yourself and find inspiration, okay? Find inspiration. For me, what works when I'm dragging or when I'm lagging or when I'm feeling totally demotivated and frustrated, which I am most of the time. I'm joking. I use inspirational sources like Tony Robbins' podcast, and I play these in my car. So every single day on my way to work, I listen to, at least takes about 40 minutes to get from home to work. And I listen to something that will add value to me, will inspire me, will help improve and upskill me. And it's a simple way to reignite that fire, to get me motivated and back on track. And on the way back, I listen to some calming music. Another tip that I suggest is batch similar tasks together. So when you've got related work, batch them together. For example, if you don't answer your emails and your phone calls throughout the day, schedule a specific time to handle these tasks. A few weeks ago, what I was doing was I was emailing throughout the day. I was answering calls all day. I was answering queries. I was trying to get back to clients, all the way throughout the day. Now what I've done is I've scheduled a specific time in the morning between 9 and 11, and in the afternoon 2 till 3. And I know that these are my scheduled slots for my emails, and I'm not bouncing between tasks then. So that's really, really helped me. So, and the reason why I do this is different tasks demand different types of thinking. If you batch the tasks together, your brain isn't switching gears, so you're not bouncing around from one gear to the next. And you cut out that time that you're thinking of, moving from task to task, and actually reorienting your thoughts and getting everything back on track. So if you're batching the similar tasks together, you'll have one thought process, one mindset. You finish that task and then you switch gear and go on to the next task. Okay. Do less. This is another tip. Do less. And I've learned that those people who work smart, they work smarter, not harder. So I've learned the people that work smarter, not harder, they actually get more things done. I was often finding myself working so hard and thinking, why am I not you know, finishing things. Why is it that I'm always overwhelmed? And the reason was because I was working so hard, I was not working smart. And that's what it's about. If you plan ahead, you're then able to work smart, and you're able to allocate a time for, you know, for all the things that you've got to do. So this is a tactic from Leo Babauta. He started the blog Zen Habits, okay? Zen Habits, and it's definitely a must read. So what does Leo have to say about doing less? Doing less doesn't mean less is more. It means less is better. And this is achieved by slowing down, being aware of what needs to be done, and concentrating only on those things, concentrate only on those things that you need to do. Once you do, you make every action count. As a result, you'll be creating more value instead of just fodder. Okay, so if you're doing less, but you're actually working smarter but not harder, okay, you will be slowing down, you will be more aware of what needs to be done, and you will be focused, and you will be concentrating. Okay, so think about that, plan ahead. Okay, I'm going to just change the slide now. I'm going to leave you with this quote. Time isn't the main thing, it's the only thing. Okay, and I picked this lady because I thought she was really, really cute. But it really got me thinking about the time that we spend actually thinking about things, and actually not doing, but actually thinking about things. So if we're planning ahead and we allocate that time initially in preparation and preparing for what we've got to do, we will waste less time, and we will be able to manage our time effectively and efficiently. Okay, so I'm going to bring us together now, and let me just stop this share. Okay. Do you have any questions, or would you like to add to that? I'll hand over to Laura first. Laura, would you like to add to that, and then we can go to the questions?
Having run, as Michelle probably well knows, having run time management programs for a long, long time, I totally get exactly what Zen's saying, and I could also talk about this forever. So I'm not going to kind of get into that mode, because there are so many effective things. But I think we have to really be quite, we've got to be quite honest with ourselves in terms of, where do you get stuck? Where do you find your challenge? Because there are some things, all of us have different strengths in the way we organize ourselves and we do things, but recognize where you get stuck and think, what can I perhaps do differently that would help me overcome those bits? I read something very interesting today, actually, it was a Harvard business review thing, and I don't know if it was a recent one or one I just happened to find. And it was talking about the fact that so many of us are still working remotely, not everybody. And I know that here in Dubai, our commute times are much, much shorter than in other parts of the world. But they were saying, you know what, are we living at work all the time because we're working from home? And really, there's a discussion about commute time, that we kind of have always used our commute time, as Zen was saying, maybe to listen to something, a podcast, or to think about what we need to do in our day. And I think that when we're working from home, I just wonder whether we ever think about that commute time in terms of, let me plan my day. Perhaps I could start my morning with listening to a podcast, just because we're working from home. It mustn't mean that we just kind of dive into doing our daily thing crazily busily, and then at the end of the day thinking, well, I'm still at home, so let me see how much more I can keep doing during the day and keep working longer and longer hours. Because it's not about how long we work that makes us productive, it's, as Zen said, what we're doing in that time. So do try every day, if you need a system or something to kind of motivate you to think about how you plan your day, or things that get you motivated and help you de-stress, use them, because they really, really help. And we would do it if we were possibly commuting and going to work in the normal fashion as we did before. So just a little thought there. But please, ladies, I'm sure you all have different things that you struggle with or you find particularly effective. Perhaps you'd like to share with us what works or what really doesn't work for you. Would anyone like to share? Everyone's gone shy.
Yeah, Carol's smiling. Carol, I'm going to start picking people now. Come on, Carol.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking, can you hear me? Yeah, it's a good point on the working from home. And it's something that I kind of struggled with in the beginning, and especially when the kids were home as well for homeschooling. And I found that I really just had to put some timelines in place. So I suppose like saying, like, these are my work hours, and be quite strict on it. But then also the guilt kicked in. So it was that kind of compassion with yourself to say, I need to work. I can't be, like Zen said earlier, you can't be doing everything at the one time. I can't be mum and working at the same time. So I need to be kinder to myself, allow times for that, organize them, stick to them, and the kids get used to it, or whoever it is, they get used to it. But it's really important. But it's a really important point. But it is hard to get into the habit of, and even sorry, go ahead.
And I think we all struggled with that, especially when it was the initial lockdown period where we had to then homeschool the kids, you know, sit with them for a few hours and then work as well. And I know it seems like a distant memory now that things have started to slowly return back to normal. But I remember it was really, really stressful. You know, I'd be in meetings and I'd have to lock the door. I had my husband working from the office. Nobody would disturb him because obviously his job was very, very important and mine wasn't. You know, I'm only kidding. So he was in the office. I would be in the bedroom. We had the kids, you know, we had one in the hallway, one downstairs. You know, then my sister was living with her. My brother-in-law, he was also a teacher. He was teaching from his room. And we were all in this space. And having to manage everything and everybody and everything, it was really, really challenging. And I'm glad, you know, I wouldn't want to go back to that, to be honest. We got through it, but it was difficult.
Actually, can I just add to that? Yeah, is that actually, funny enough, I've been writing about this on LinkedIn, and I've recently done a series of things with Dubai One, some filming things on raising our productivity. And it's just one of the things that I touched on in one of the sessions, which was, you know, that kind of lockdown, horrible scenario was thrown on us, and we had to kind of manage and just, you know, it was really sort of, what can I do in the circumstances now? But the reality is that a lot of people now are working from home a lot longer now. And, you know, our normality is a little bit more as we knew it, but still different. So the thing is, now we do have time to think about what works for us. We do have time to plan our office space and to think what works for us better now, because, you know, we don't know whether we're going to come, you know, whether the world's going to go back into any kind of lockdown again. But I think also we recognize that just from working more remotely, as many of us still are, that we need to plan it. And now we have that opportunity, because it's not kind of, oh my days, just react. You know, we can think ahead. What's really worked for you? What really challenged you? And what kind of things you can do differently, you know, moving forwards. I think my stuff's coming on to Dubai. I think it will be on television in a couple of weeks. But I'm going to be doing some more stuff around all of this in due course anyway. But do think about where you're challenged and what we can do moving forwards, because this year's been really, really tough to take. And I'm hoping that now, you know, at this latter bit, that perhaps we're all going to get an opportunity to be able to breathe a little bit and plan a little bit more, so we can kind of finish, you know, this bit on a, thank God, ready for a better start for next year, moving ahead. So yeah, do think about what your successes have been in terms of managing your time and managing the situation you're in.
Yeah. And Mandy, how have you handled the lockdown and the situation with working from home and managing your time? Because it's so easy just to get into your pajamas when you're working from home and you know, just be in that relaxed mindset. One of the things that helped me during the lockdown was I got up every day at the same time. I got ready as if I was going to work. You know, I came and had my breakfast downstairs, put my makeup on, and I made that effort because mentally I needed to be in that space. Because if I'd have been in my pajamas all day, I would never have been able to open the laptop. I would have just crawled back into bed. So Mandy, tell me about what you've been doing.
Well, that's been the challenge as well. It's just setting your mind to thinking, okay, just because I'm home, it doesn't necessarily mean that I can just lounge around in my PJs all day. There are things to do. I don't have children, unless you class Alan as such. He's the one that I look after. He's the one who's the pedantic child.
Bless him, he's got all your attention.
He does. Oh, I don't know whether it's a good thing or not. But in our business, I'm finding the points that you've mentioned in the beginning and that are actually really good. And I'm going to take them on board and actually talk to him about them as well, because he has we have a tendency to just get not even sidetracked. We just get locked into doing what we're doing and not even thinking about what's going on around us. Alan can sit up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and do work all night, all day, things like that. We've had a fantastic weekend in that we've been busy with shoots. But now it comes time, we've got to edit those photos now for these clients, taking into priority. We did that shoot last week. We did 2 over the weekend. We've got to prioritize each shoot according to the days that we did them. Don't do this one first because you thought that was a better shoot than the first shoot, things like that. It's prioritizing and saying, oh yeah, I want to try this now, I want to try that. It's considering each other. Alan has his strengths, I have my strengths. We try and combine those strengths together. But then there's also the case of, okay, now we still need to eat. So, okay. Then in the morning, I'm thinking, what am I going to be doing for dinner later tonight? I need to get something out now so that it can defrost in time for dinner and I can get it ready for then. In the meantime, I'm trying to get in and do all the edits or working on proposals and projects and things like that, trying to organize the next shoots and things. And it's a case of prioritizing. But I think the timer and writing things down is a good point that you made. So
and it's really, really important. I mean, you made a really valid point there where, I myself, I come down to eat breakfast and my mind is, okay, what are we going to eat tonight for dinner? And I'll take something out the freezer, or, I'll take some meat out or some chicken and put it on the side to defrost, ready, for tonight. So we're always thinking ahead. But therefore, if you plan ahead as well, you can make sure that you get everything done. Now, Amna made a really good point. She's put, I find a monthly social media planner is very good at saving time. Amna, can you elaborate on that? What do you use to plan your social media? Amna, are you there? Okay, we'll come back to Amna. I think she can't hear us for now. And then Carol's put, okay, so she's actually created a calendar and you schedule your monthly social media post in advance. Okay, so that's a really good time-saving tip where you can actually plan in ahead, create a calendar for yourself, and then post according to that. That will save you thinking about it on the day, because even thinking about, as a business owner, thinking about social media, every single day can get you really, really worried and full of anxiety as well, because you don't know what to post. But if you plan ahead and you know exactly what you're going to post on what day, you can then use that calendar, and if anything else comes along, you can also post that as well. So thank you for that, Amina. And then we've got Carol has put, reviewing and acknowledging what worked and where we successfully manage our time is a great tip. Laura, focusing on what we did well and what worked well and implement more of it. So yeah, again, what Laura said, focus on what went well, what worked well previously, and carry on doing that, because clearly that's worked, and that's what you can elaborate on and improve on. Patricia, have you got anything to add?
Hi. I'm not sure that I do have anything to add other
what
than
works for you. What works for you?
What works for me essentially is just staying in the routine. I must be honest, I'm not overly busy at the moment, so I'm very much in control of my time. I'm spending a lot of time just doing stuff with my children and all of that. So on a normal day, if I was kind of more busy, it would definitely be just around, I'm a little bit strict when it comes to my timing. So if I say I'm going to do something, I just commit to, however long I think it's going to take. And I kind of tend to do it, unless I'm really bored. if it's something that's just really boring or whatever, then I kind of I'm not very committed to it. But if it's something that I'm really interested in, then I tend to stay on task. So
wonderful, and it's great. It's great to see that. It's great to see that you can bring yourself back to task. Whereas I'm one of those people that can easily get distracted and waylaid, and I have to really pull myself back on to get to that task. Something that jogged my mind when Patricia was speaking was the value of your time. Often as business owners, as working women, we don't see the value of our time. So we will focus on tasks, that we could easily delegate to somebody else, because if we put a value on that time, of what our hourly rate is, for instance, as a CEO, if your hourly rate is, I don't know, $200 an hour, and you're sat there creating social media content and spending hours and hours and hours and hours, add the value of that time up. Well, what is that time costing your business when you could be focusing on business development, for that $200 an hour? So put a value on your own time. Mandy, you wanted to say something? Ooh,
You're on mute, Mandy.
I knew that. I was just testing.
I always get it wrong myself, so no one to talk about that.
Thank you. When we were talking about creating schedules for social media and things like that, the problem that we're finding is that it takes the time to create the schedule to put onto social media. So you can schedule for a week ahead of the time, but it's that time, the initial time that you have to be able to get the content to put out on social media. That's difficult.
Drop me a message, Mandy, later after this session. I will share a calendar with you that you can have a look at that will save you a lot of time. a little trick there for you. So I will send that across to you. Yes, and it does take a lot of time. Shaista's just posted something. Shaista, would you like to speak about what you've said? Shaista, you there? So she's put, monotony is something that which pushes us backwards rather than moving forward. Having been into a monotonous routine with a lot of work and a great productivity, builds a negative niche inside our conscience with the thought that we are not doing anything. I think we should have a variety in our routine. Oh, sorry, you're in the office right now, can't talk. Okay, so yeah, so that's definitely something, having a variety in your routine. If we're not robots, if we're doing the same thing every single day, we will get bored of it, we will get tired of it, it's monotonous. So we don't want to have that same old every single day. So make sure you have a variety in your routine, and that's where the planning ahead really, really works, because you can slot in that variety. You don't have to be checking your emails for 5 hours every single day. If you have meetings, have them on a specific day. When Corona first hit, I was having Zoom meetings every single day, 5 days a week, 3 times a day, and it just wasn't productive. It wasn't the best use of my time. So then what I did was I said, okay, only on a Monday and a Wednesday I'll be having these meetings online. The rest of the times I need to focus on other things that I've got to do. So that gave me a bit of variety in my life as well, but it also gave me that strict routine, and I knew what day I was slotting in the meetings when I was scheduling them into my calendar.
Can I just add to that as well? Sorry, again, as a strengths coach, okay, as I always say to you all that we're all naturally predisposed to be better at some things than others. And our strengths are things that we do that really energize us and we feel passionate about. So when you're talking, Shaista, about feeling that monotony and, oh God, I'm doing this, it's normally that you're doing some kind of work that doesn't play to your strengths and that it's just stuff you've got to get done. And that's why we feel that feeling rather than, whoa, I love it. So it's really important to look at some of those things as well, because when you're doing your job, you should be able to find that more than less is playing to your strengths, and then you're doing jobs that energize you. We all have to do boring stuff we don't like, and we have to manage around it. But that's where it's very important to recognize how much of your day is getting caught up in stuff you don't like, because then you're not working to your strengths. So if you're not, what can you do differently to perhaps eliminate the things you don't like, or perhaps review them in a different way, so that you can, they're less tedious to be done. Okay, that's really, really important.
And I remember having that conversation with you, Laura, about my tasks and what I hate doing. And when I did my strengths with Laura, I realized that everything that I was doing was not a strength of mine. It's actually what I hated doing. And the things that I was passionate about, what I was, really, really enjoyed doing, they got left day in, day out. And because I was focusing on these tasks, Michelle's leaving us. Okay, bye, Michelle. Take care.
Thank you so much, then, Laura. Bye.
So it's I found that I was really, really unproductive. It was bringing me down. It was getting me, really, really anxious. The fact that I wasn't able to do what I enjoyed. So we are in control of what we do. And again, planning ahead will enable you to focus on things that you enjoy doing. Okay, so I want to ask Fatima. Fatima, do you have any tips and advice on time management and things that work for you? I don't think she's there at the moment. Amina, so you're one that's got several businesses as well and children. How do you manage?
With difficulty. Yeah, they interrupt me a lot, which is quite hard work. So
yeah,
I'm gonna.
And how do you manage that balance between the guilt of giving time to your children and being a mom as well? Because that's always tearing us apart, the fact that we're not able to spend, if we were from, well, what shall we say, mums at home, based at home, we would be able to give more time, or it's presumed we're able to give more time to our children. How do you manage that guilt?
Every day, 5 o'clock till 9 o'clock, I spend time with them. So I do my work in the day and they're supervised by the nanny. And then afterwards at 5 o'clock, all the work stops and I'm with the kids until they go to bed. So
yeah. And I think this is where we've got a really nice work-life balance as well in Dubai, in the UAE, because we're able to finish work, go home and have that quality time with our families. Because I remember in the UK when it was winter time and everything would go dark at 4 or 5 o'clock. Whereas here it's light till late. If you want to do something in an evening and take your family out, take your children out, you're still able to do that. So I think that's where we've got a really good work-life balance. And Carol, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think
carry on.
Sorry.
I think that it's a really good point, actually, and it keeps you motivated in the day as well. If you have a cut-off time and say, right, this is the time I've committed to my family, to my kids, to my hobby, whatever that might be, it does help you focus. Because I find if I don't do that, tasks take longer and I'm daydreaming or I'm jumping from one to the other. So I think that's actually a really good point, to have that set and something to look forward to.
Yep, and you've recently set up a new business as well, haven't you? How's that coming along, and how are you managing everything? Because it's so difficult setting up a new business, especially in this day and age where there is so much uncertainty and challenges.
Yeah, I picked a good time for it because I finished my job in December and then decided around January that this is what I was going to do. And then all hell broke loose with Corona and kids being off school. So yeah, I floundered a bit in the beginning, very much floundered in the beginning. And it's something I was talking about the other day, because with time management, that when I was in an office job, like sitting in my office as the CFO, I was very organized. But when it came to having to manage my own time completely, and more so with the family thrown in because we were all in the same place, I struggled in the beginning. But I have kind of implemented a lot of what you said earlier, Zen. Like all of that really resonated, the tips that you gave in the beginning. And I am now much more strict. And especially when it came to the guilt with the kids to be here, because they're very good at but mommy, you're here, why are you working, your work is so boring, and they know how to pull the heartstrings. But I've kind of trained them, if I'm allowed to say that, and so they're used to my hours now, and they know it's important, and I've explained it to them. And then I've trained myself as well, and then I've set those hours too. Okay, for me it's between 5 and 7:30 is when they kind of go to bed. That's my family time. I try to have lunch with them, and it keeps me motivated to get the stuff done, to get my business set up. So yeah, it's been, been a learning curve.
And I think what's good now is when somebody rings you and you pick up the phone and there's kids screaming in the background, it doesn't really matter to you anymore because you've been through the worst and you said, just excuse my kids in the background, I'm working from home today. And it's quite normal and it's accepted. Whereas just before Corona, if you said, you know, you're working, you could hear kids in the background. I remember taking my phone calls on the balcony. My baby was ill and him crying outside, and I had to take this phone call, and I was on the balcony. It was 40 degrees and I was stood outside holding onto the door handle like, yes, I mean, please don't hear him on the other end. You know, so but now it's just so accepted. If somebody calls you, you can just say, excuse me, you know, I'm working from home today, you may hear my kids in the background. And in fact, it gives you that personal connection. You know, it gives you that personal connection with that other person, and they might say, yep, I know that feeling, or they might say, oh, bless you, you know, I don't have kids, but you know, I don't, you know, I admire you being a working mom. So these kind of things are now accepted, which were not before. So Mandy, you wanted to add something. I saw your hand raised earlier.
Yeah, it was just it brings to mind quite a memory actually when I was growing up back home. And mom and dad were out at work all the time. And we would sort of say to them, you know, we're not spending enough time with you, or we're not much of a family. As we got a little bit older and we could understand, we weren't really seeing them. The difference, I think, between then and nowadays is that at that time, my parents, and I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but at that time, the parents were of the mindset that we have to work to be able to provide for our family. If we don't do that, we can't give our family our time. And it was just a vicious circle because we couldn't see them because they were working, but they were working to try and give us a better life.
Yeah.
But I think as the years have gone on, and speaking to all the lovely mommies and ladies here on the group, you've learned, or we have learned over time, that time with our family is more important. Yes, we have to keep our business going, and yes, we have to spend the time doing the business, developing it, trying to get it to grow, bringing in the money. But time with family is the most important thing of all. And that's really struck a chord with me over the years. And I just wish, you know, sometimes you think, if I could go back in time, and I wish my mom and dad could know this kind of thing now, it would make a hell of a difference to the family, I think.
And that's a really lovely point there. It's a really touching point, actually, because often we forget, you know, why we're doing what we're doing. Going back to Laura for helping you find your why. Often we forget why we're doing what we're doing. Yes, we do it because this is what we're passionate about, and this is what we enjoy doing. But I mean, I set up my business because I wanted a flexible working life. I didn't want to go into a 9-to-5 where I couldn't, you know, to have time off if my baby was sick or feel guilty about not going into work. This is why I opened my own business. And if that business is now, you know, taking me away from that purpose, there's something wrong. So this is where we need to realign and think, you know, think like what Mandy was saying earlier, you know, what is the priority? And the priority is family life, because children grow up so fast. You know, time just flies by, and we think, wow, where has that time gone? And we often forget that because we are so, you know, engrossed in the work that we do. So having a clear cutoff time and knowing this is protected time for family, you know, will empower you, and it will make you feel more motivated and passionate about what you're doing. Yep. Laura, would you like to add anything in there? I can see you smiling away.
Well, I'm just reading some of the comments as I'm going as well from everybody. It's lovely a great input from everyone, and some really lovely comments that I'm seeing coming up on the screen as we go, which is lovely. So I think what we need to think about is really about, as you quite rightly said, what are our key priorities, what matters that we want to try and do in our day. A thing of trying not to feel guilty. Men, sorry, I'm glad there's no men on this program, because men don't feel guilty. They really don't. They do what they need to do, and they just don't care. That's done. Whereas we women, I think we instinctively are nurturers, whether we, you know, do a lot of it or not. And so we want to try and please everybody and do everything. And then that can be stressful on its own. So it's just thinking about reality, what are our priorities, and to recognize, as I said, not just our, our strengths, but also peaks and troughs in our day when we find it easier to work and when we don't. And being able to be very structured about, especially when you've got little kids. Mine are bigger now, and okay, big kids, bigger issues, but I don't want to frighten any of you mums out there, but jokes apart, I mean, you've still got to find the times, but it's different. Little people have a lot more interruptions because they don't always understand what people are doing, and you feel bad when you're working from home. But it is just being able to keep a structure and making sure that you're following it, because once you get into that, then the family understand the routine as well. Kids are good at routine. And it just helps us all to kind of stay on track and do the things we want to do. But don't forget, really important, I'm forever, in fact, I'd probably say do as I say, don't do as I do, because it's one I'm always working on, which is, where is your responsibility to yourself? So think about what it is you're wanting to achieve, and being able to say, this is what I want to do, this is how I do it best. And making sure you share that with the people around you, so you have the best conditions you can around you to work. See a lovely little cat turning up there.
I know, I thought it was Alan's head then. I was like,
unless he's gone very grey. But yeah, so just trying to find out, what it is you do best when you do it, and not feel bad. That's the hardest one. Don't feel bad about not doing it, or doing less is right. It's just making sure get stuff done.
I like that point that you made, Laura, about men. Bless them, husbands are wonderful, but they are able to switch off and say, well, this is my time, and tough. The kids can scream, the work can be happening, but they know when is their time. And women often we don't do that, and we don't say, well, this is our time. And I know Gizlan's not here, bless her, but I keep seeing a picture flashing up on the back of Mandy's. Me and Gizlan, we recently, we were out at an event. Mandy, you were there as well. Who else was there? Laura, you were there. And we went, and it was the first time that we'd been out for a while. But we were talking about it later, and I mentioned that as I was leaving, I could hear the kids screaming, and I was getting ready upstairs, and I could hear my kids downstairs shouting, "Mama, Mama," and like they do. And I was thinking, where's my husband? And he was watching TV, and I just thought, right, okay, so if he can watch TV, I can switch off as well. So I just carried on getting ready. I came downstairs, and I was like, bye, everyone. And I just walked out of that door, and it felt so good.
Doesn't it just?
So take that time out for yourselves as well. We've talked about family, we spoke about work commitments and time management, and yourself and your own well-being and your own time management. Time management of your own health and your well-being. That is also something that you need to think about to add to the list, and slotting those sessions in, be it the gym, be it exercise, be it, you're going to the spa or getting your nails done, or small things, going for a walk. These things need to be scheduled in. That me time is really, really important. I don't know if you recently read my article. I wrote an article on burnout. And why we burn out when we're overworked and overwhelmed. And it resonated with so many people. They reached out and said, thank you so much, Zen, for talking about this topic, especially now when we're kind of 3/4 of the way, I would say, through the pandemic. We're not quite out of the other side. We don't know what's going to happen, but when we're nearly there, we hope we dealt with the worst of it. So, it's time you need to take that time out to reflect upon yourself and your own well-being and your own health. So schedule that into your time, into your daily calendar, because if it's blocked out, then that means it will happen. Okay.
Actually, just adding to that, because actually this is also a subject very, very close to my heart. I might not just speak about it on Dubai One, but if anyone follows me as well on LinkedIn, you'll see I'm always posting a lot of things around this, because like Zen, it's of huge importance to us all. But one of the things that I always learned in time management was to schedule in a kind of an extra hour every day. Apart from the me time, which you have to schedule in, is schedule in an hour of unknown time, which means it gives you, how sometimes we all think that I need to get this particular thing done, and then, oh my God, I've been caught out, someone interrupted me, or there was an issue and I didn't finish it. And then that's an awful feeling that you haven't got time to go back. If you can find an extra hour in your day, which is going to be productive, you know it's for something productive, but you're giving yourself the opportunity to choose what that thing might be. I find that I do that every day, and I find it's really useful. Then I think, great, I've got an extra hour to do X, Y, and Z. But so if that works for you, do try. But definitely everything you do that's your own time out, we have to schedule time out. Otherwise we never take it. We're terrible at doing rest. We talk about it, but we have this love-hate relationship with rest. I put a big thing on it about this week on LinkedIn about it. And I think that Zen's absolutely 100% right. You've got to schedule it. Otherwise you'll never do it right.
Yeah. And I was thinking to myself yesterday, I've got all these books that I keep saying, well, I'm going to read this book and I'm going to read this book. And I get through a few pages and I leave it for another couple of weeks. And maybe I should schedule that time into my calendar and bring that book to work and say, okay, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm going to slot just as reading time. And that will also help me, just focus somewhere else other than work, because sometimes we can do this task after task after task that's within our, in our schedule for the day. But if we slot other things into there that we also enjoy doing, it'll help us feel motivated throughout the day. So that's one thing that I'm going to do from this week onwards, is bring a book into work, and then and have that time just in the kitchen area, in the canteen area, just sit there away from my desk. Something simple that happened a couple of weeks ago, I always ate at my desk. So I was, answering emails, eating at my desk. And I thought, no, I got my lunch and I came to the canteen area. And I actually felt like I had a lunch rather than just working away while I've got the laptop open, reading things, answering emails while I'm eating my lunch. So it's small changes that we make that make the biggest difference, and will help us stay motivated. Carol, would you like to add something there? So your hand go up, or were you just waving?
No, I think I was just nodding along. Yeah, I mean, I do that thing with the book. It's funny, I had this conversation with my husband yesterday on that exact topic, because he said, he's a bit unusual, where he's kind of the opposite of most men, that he said he finds it hard because he's got a long list of books and is not getting around to reading them. And I've done, because I've read the 5 a.m. club, I think it's called, and part of that, the morning routine was the 20-20-20. And I do that in the mornings, where I have my hour split up, and 20 minutes of that is to sit and read a book. And it's usually an educational book of some sort, or a self-help book, or and I do that for 20 minutes. I set my alarm for 20 minutes, and it helps. And I don't feel guilty about it, and I feel better then. I feel like I've actually achieved something for me in the morning before I've even started.
That's very good.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's a really good time, actually. That, yeah.
May I just say,
schedule that time in? Yep, Laura.
Because we're talking obviously predominantly time management here, there are two books particularly that come to mind for me when we're talking about that as well. I know there are hundreds, but two that I particularly like and I often recommend. One of them, if you haven't read it, is Gary Keller, The One Thing. He helps you decide that, what is the one thing in your day that must be done no matter what else? What is that one key thing you need to do? And then what he does is he kind of finds a very simple procedure to help you when you recognize that, is to what he calls set up your dominoes in a line, that everything relates back to that, and that you're not taken away by things that are not important to you. So that's a really, I love it. It's a really, really good read if you get an opportunity. Another one is that I also like, I'm not a procrastinator on the whole, but there's a really great book called Eat That Frog. It's by Tracy. Some of you may know it, and it is about recognizing that if you are somebody that has something horrendous to do and you're trying to put it off, how to eat that frog. And it's a little book, but it's a really nice read. So just a couple of things. They're ones that I recommend to everybody because they're easy and I found them very, very productive. So reading for that 20 minutes at any time, just a couple of things.
Yeah. I like Amna's point there on the comments, Amna. Sometimes you just have to ignore that ringing. Your battery has to die or something has to happen. Unless it's urgent, you don't take that call. So that when you're walking out that door, you say bye, you mean bye, and you'll come back in your own time. You have to be a little bit selfish, Amna, when it comes to these things. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to my screen share, my lovely lady there. Don't you just think she's so cute? Bless her. Okay, so Laura, over to you.
Yeah, I'm always open to suggestions, or if people are finding they're stuck, you know, or certain things that they'd like to work on. I'm doing some of the courses that or with some of the programs we've run briefly. I'm doing some of them in a greater depth as an online course. And I do, as you know, I'm a master of resilience, and so in fact I'm writing a book on it at the moment. So there's a lot of things that I'm doing that I can perhaps offer a little bit of advice over, should you be stuck in any particular way and you'd like just a half an hour or whatever, just to talk about some of the things and to look for clarity. So I'm always available, and if you're not joined with me on LinkedIn, please do, because I offer loads and loads of tips and advice and things as well. And and strengths, if the strengths is your thing, I'm there as a coach as well. So it's up to you. I'm out there. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Laura. And for me, same as what Laura said, really, I'm here to help and support in any way that I can, be it personal training, professional development, career plans, employability, whatever you're thinking about in terms of your job, your career, your prospects. Do reach out. From a business development side as well, I've been in Dubai just over nearly 5 years now. I've set up 3 successful businesses. I'm able to guide you and support you. So do reach out. I'm part of your network. Anything that you need help with. I remember having a conversation with Carol, saying, reach out rather than going the long way around with things. We've been here, we've been through it, we've been through the challenges. We will show you the shortcuts, we will show you the way to succeed a lot faster than doing it by yourself. So we're here, do reach out to us. Just some different training courses that we offer online and face-to-face as well. Do have a look at our website. We've got a range of different courses. If you or anyone in your network needs any e-learning or professional development courses, do reach out to me, and I'll be happy to support. These are our social media handles and our contact details. We've also got a WhatsApp group as well. Add your friends to the WhatsApp group, invite them along, get them to join and help us build our community. It's great. We've had lots and lots of international interest. We've had people joining us from Germany, Australia, and we're hoping to set up some morning sessions as well for pushing the boundaries. So, do reach out and send the information out to your network as well.
And just a little,
sorry, Laura, go on.
Sorry, just a little reminder too, girls, that, if there are things, as we keep saying, that you're particularly interested in that we can share, please do. We're happy to kind of look at things that would be relevant to the majority of ladies. And also, if you're experienced in a specific thing that you would, that you feel that we can all benefit by, this is about, remember when we talked about women's empowerment, I said, we all need to bolster and support each other. So, if there are things that we can do on that, please be in touch with Zen and me, because we're always happy to figure that into these online workshops that we do.
Great. And the next session that we will have of Pushing the Boundaries is in 2 weeks' time. And we'll carry on at this time. I feel that this time is really, really nice. It's a really, really nice point in the day. No one's rushing around, to get to their places of work or wherever they need to be. So yeah, please do join us for the next session. I'm just going to stop the screen share now. And do you have any questions for us? And Shagufta's joined us now. Hi, Shagufta.
Hello, lovelies. I just got in from work because we're ahead of you or behind you.
Yes, I think you're an hour behind us, so you would have just got in from work now. So we will share the recording with you. And just before we go, just before the end of the session, do you have any time management tips for us?
Me, I'm a very early riser. I'm up at 5 o'clock, and that's when my day starts. And the vast majority of my stuff is done before midday. My heavy stuff is done before midday.
Amazing. So what do you do towards the rest of the day? Do you use it to relax? What do you do towards the end of the day?
those are my things that I put in my parking lot. I have a to-do list, and it goes by priority. So the thing that I dread the most is what I try to do first thing in the morning. So if I've got a difficult email to write or something that's bothering me, then that's the first thing that gets done. And then my afternoon is my sort of catch-up stuff if I've got time. So like now, I still haven't responded to some seesaw comments from my families, and I've got to do that today. But that's there's no pressure on that one. But anything that's that's bugging me or is difficult, that gets done in the morning.
Great, some lovely tips from Shagufta there as well. So just to summarize the session, then we talked about some great time management techniques and tips, and how you can manage your time effectively. We heard from Laura, who gave us some great advice and guidance on how to manage, not just your time, but also your own well-being and your own health. And we heard from Mandy, Carol, Patricia, Fatima, Amna, Shaista, and Shagufta as well. So thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you at the next session, and we'll be sending the recording out as well. So I'm just going to stop the live.
And just one thing I wanted to say very quickly on a very little note, Mandy, I appreciate your backdrop.
I know,
Those are photos, professional photos.